What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lord Owen. This is Colts Law, and that's Loyalist. What's going on? Um, what's going on, Brian? I thought I had a connection. Okay, conniption. Oh, my bad. No, we was just having a little bit of issues working around hardware, so my apologies for the slight delay of about 7 minutes, but that's okay because we are here now. So thanks so much, Loyalist. How was your weekend? How was your Memorial Day weekend?
Outstanding, except my honey-do list just kept getting longer. The more I did, the more I had to do. But like
Gotcha.
I said, I had a great day. Got to my brother's birthday's on the 31st, so I got to wish him a happy birthday and just had a nice, beautiful weather for it. Did some work around the yard, and now I'm ready to talk some Colts.
Awesome, awesome. I gotta make sure that we are actually in this, and it is good. So we are live. Okay. um, Great news. I got special uh content coming to everybody for Wednesday and Thursday. Can't say what it is or whatnot, but you're going to enjoy the content that I'm going to be bringing you on Wednesday and Thursday. Approximately the same time, maybe a little earlier if I upload it rather than go live and do it. But very excited to bring you this. Today, we're going to be discussing the 2021 rankings for the Indianapolis Colts. Way too early predictions on these. The offense, the rushing attack, where they're going to rank in the NFL, the passing attack, where it's going to rank in the NFL, the overall ranking, and then flip side defensively as well, rushing, passing, and overall. But before I get started, man, I just want to say thank you everybody who is in the chat and everybody who watches my videos. I had a really great time up making, even though it took me 5 hours to go through every defensive play last year for the Indianapolis Colts. I made that highlight film of DeForest Buckner, a little bit different. It was the all 22 version. Did you get a chance to watch it, Loyalist, and what'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. I'll tell you what, for me, I watch that every day just to get me pumped up now. It's like, if you're having a bad day or whatever, that music and then just watching somebody just dominate it just warms a guy's heart.
Yeah, the finished product was pretty fun. Now I get it that the music isn't everybody's cup of tea, but no matter what music I put out, it's not going to be someone's cup of tea. So I'm just, it'll be different types of music every time I upload videos like that, just to kind of try to find everybody's likes or dislikes. Obviously, because one specific type will not hit everybody, so I'll change it up from time to time. Um, I've had some comments already just shouting out those guys saying they didn't like the music and had to shut the audio off, but they enjoyed watching it. But again, like I said, tomorrow and Thursday, I got some great content coming out. Don't forget, please, while you're here, all of you, Company Eagles, appreciate you. Devin Miles, Culture Shock, what up? Please don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell. That way you're notified next time I go live or upload a video. And don't forget, hit that link right here, right below the description of the video. There's a little drop down box. Hit that. Go check out some of the links, like my Patreon. I got 7 patrons in my Patreon right now. 15. I will do live streams with my patrons. Actual patrons will be able to jump on. We can hang. We can talk. We'll do live streams with them. If they don't want to, they could just sit and chat and enjoy, but it'll be Patreon only. All of my stuff is on Patreon, whether it's here, whether it's on someone else's channel, whatnot. Plus, I upload stuff from time to time just for Patreon only. So it's only $5 a month. Pretty simple. Don't forget, if you want to use Super Chats, please, also in the description, there's a little link down there, Super Chats. Streamlabs tips. Use that to do the Super Chats because YouTube takes 65%, and that takes only 4%. So you'd be doing me a huge solid by using that. Thank you so much. And then, of course, there's my merch shop. Make sure to check out the Colts Law merch shop. The link is in the description of this video. There are a ton of high quality, reasonably priced items there that you can choose from. And all you got to do is just click one button and you can go and check out all these great merchandise items. And we're back. So, Loyalist, what was your thoughts? The Colts were top 10 offense and defense total last year, you know. And what did you think of the rankings last year on where the Colts ended up falling? They were 11th overall offensive passing, 11th overall offensive rushing. Let's see, where else were they sitting at? I'm just giving a quick look real fast. Defensively, if I could click that, there we are. Defensively, they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8th overall. Defensively, points per game, actually. I think they were like 10th or 11th. Yardage-wise, for the rush defense, they were number 2 in the NFL. But they fell pretty harsh. Let's see here. What, 19th in the NFL last year in pass defense? So what do you think about how the Colts were in 2021 or in 2020 overall?
I would say that the ranking that they gave us on our pass defense, I think, is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. I mean, you look at the beginning of the season last year, and we weren't, super deep in the high-level quarterbacks that we were trying to stop. Plus, for some reason, it seemed like as things progressed, I don't know if the teams were figuring us out, not that there's a lot to figure out, or were we not disguising it as well as we were at the beginning of the year? But like I said, I feel like our pass defense is our weakest area, but I also feel like our rush defense was underestimated, even though, like I said, I feel like once you balance it out, the overall defense of ranking, I feel was pretty accurate to where we fit as a whole for the league.
Yeah, I think the only game last year that really stood out for me when it came to the pass defense, I believe it was like week 2 or 3 against the Vikings. The Vikings have a top 10 offense, and they got a lot. They just solid all around. They got good receivers, and they had the offensive rookie of the year last year, on their team. And then Dalvin Cook was just blowing it up on the ground for that team. And yet the Colts held them for under 200 total yards. I mean, good Lord. Under 100 yards passing, right? That's outrageous. But then you go look and guys like Derek Carr and Matt Stafford and Watson and Aaron Rodgers and all those, they were just throwing 300 yards against us day in, day out, it seemed like. Anytime we went up against a good, even Ben Roethlisberger threw over 300 yards against the Colts last year. And he had issues throwing regularly. Yeah. So we're going to dive into the actual projection. While we're here, don't forget, if you are watching this live, I got the live chat. Join in, man. Let us know your thoughts about the rankings and where you project them for the 2021 season. So, Loyalists, let's start on the defensive side of the ball and where the Colts were weakest overall. 19th overall in pass defense last year. Okay. Where do you expect them this year to fall?
Okay. I think our rush, it may not result in as many sacks this year, but I do think that just the havoc or the chaos, the disruption that we're going to be giving the quarterbacks, I feel like if our linebackers can step it, I know this is normally you associate this with the cornerbacks and safeties, but I really feel like with the extra speed that our opposing quarterbacks are going to have to play under, because of Justin Houston was a power first speed type of secondary thing. Well, Quiddy to me seems to have that explosion, and he may not get the sack, but he's definitely going to have to make that quarterback speed up his internal clock. And what that means is shorter routes. And now that brings into our linebackers, like you said earlier in one of the shows last week, our linebackers didn't perform in the pass coverage to the level that they had in years past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Darius Leonard had dropped off a little bit in pass coverage. I see that being benefited by our defensive line and the extra amount of pressure that they're going to put the quarterback under to make a decision. And I'll tell you right now, Darius Leonard versus a panic quarterback, I'll take Darius every day of the week.
So, do you have a specific ranking that you think that they might reach somewhere between 1 and 32 for pass coverage yardage wise?
I'm thinking that they're going to be closer to the 15 range, but I'm hoping somewhere between 12 and 15 is where I'm thinking that our defense has potential for.
Okay. Nomadic Brian asks, do the Colts improve without Anthony Walker? Believe it or not, Anthony Walker had a better pass coverage than Darius Leonard did last year. A lot of you may not realize that, but when it came to passer rating and quarterback percentage against him and stuff like that, he was actually better than Darius Leonard last year. It has a lot to do with what, like you said, it has a lot to do with pressure on the quarterback since the Colts run a zone defense. Me personally, it's a little worrisome because we're bringing back pretty much everybody from our secondary last year. Well, that does help somewhat because there's another year that all these guys that we had last year are in the same scheme. So they'll be able to read and react a little bit faster, understanding not only the scheme-wise, but the players around them and understand what their tendencies are as well. But we have that flip in pass rush, as you alluded to. And we got Quiddy Pay. We're going to have those second-year guys, second and third-year guys, all those second-round picks that Ballard has spent over the last 3 seasons for pass rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he spent a second-round pick on a pass rusher every year. I think every year, except for maybe last year, I think was the only year he did not use a second-round pick on a pass rusher. Guys like Ben Banagoo and Kimoko Ture and guys like that. And then, of course, I'm curious, where's Muhammad going to fit? Where is Rochelle going to fit, right? If we could get some pressure, I think this Colts defense, pass defense, can come away with turnovers. Do I think that they're going to improve very much in yardage-wise? No, I don't, because it's still a zone defense, and zone defense gives up the completions, right? We can't expect the pass defense to make huge jumps when you're a zone majority. You get turnovers like we did last year? Absolutely. May even get more turnovers because, like I said, the players know each other better. But I still, if they can find themselves somewhere between 15 and 20, I'm okay with it. Any kind of improvement is improvement to me. But I don't expect the pass defense to be top 10 this year. I don't. There's still a little bit of question marks with our cornerback number 2, we want to know, is Julian Blackmon going to step up in his sophomore season? Because second half of the season, Julian Blackmon was not very good against the pass, which is very odd. So,
and I got something I'd like to say to that. With Blackmon is, everybody always talks about, okay, he got ready and started playing early, okay? Everybody's like, wow, he overcame this knee injury and everything. But what people don't take into account, like when I injured my knee and stuff, now obviously I never played at the level they did. But when I got back the following year from having my knee repaired, I was ready at the beginning of the season. I was ready for the activity level that I had to do. But the thing was what I noticed as the games and as the reps built up, that injury, you have the explosiveness, but you don't have the stamina yet. You start petering out And I'm wondering if that's what Blackman sort of, I mean, he worked so hard to get back early, but did he, I mean, he may have never had that stamina built up. So now this year, he's got just that much more time in, much more game shape, I mean, and he's also able to have that endurance to last a full 17, hopefully, weeks out there. And then you sit there and you look at our secondary. I feel like our secondary has so much potential. And then you factor in, okay, the character of the people. Because, I mean, everybody that's busting on Rock Ya-Sin, understandably so, But his problems, to me, are in between the ears most. His problems is trying to break these habits that he's had, like you said, from junior high and wrestling, high school, college. He's always been able to do that. I honestly believe, because nobody ever really complains a lot about Rock being way out of position or Rock not fitting in with, and being where his teammates can help cover. And then you have certain plays like where you see Rock go off against the Packers, and sit there and I've heard somebody mention, he baited Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know if he baited him or not. I love to think of it that way. But like I said, I just see so much potential. And with the character and just the pride that these guys have, I have a firm belief that at least one, if not more of them, are going to step up. So now that, to me, helps lessen the amount of extra competition that we have as far as our schedule goes and stuff.
So,
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like, plus our schedule's so much tougher, but it's at the beginning of the season when teams aren't still fully clicked in and stuff. You know what I mean? It generally takes 2, 3, 4 weeks, especially for a team like the Rams. Where are they going to be? Are they going to be synced up? Are they going to be on the right page in week 2? You know what I mean? Everybody's like, hey, this is a tough road early on. Maybe this is an advantage for us.
Well, I mean, both teams are in kind of a similar situation where they're sitting there with a brand new quarterback and they have to learn everything and new playbooks and learn the team around them and stuff like that. So I get what you're saying on that. Flipping over to the run defense, like I said, last year the Indianapolis Colts was number 2 in the NFL in run defense, behind only the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, that's huge, huge. Shows one of the best run defenses in the NFL. I mean, let's not forget, they held the Baltimore Ravens to 110 yards rushing. All right, and like 3.2 yards a carry. It was the least amount, or 2.3 yards a carry. It was the least amount of yards rushing and average per rush in the Lamar Jackson era, and the Indianapolis Colts did that. They did this in a loss, but still, that's, the Colts run defense is very good. Now, someone brought up Anthony Walker Jr. earlier. I believe it was Nomadic Brian. That's going to hurt the run defense because Bobby Okeriki's faster, but he's not as good against the run as Anthony Walker is, right? Anthony Walker was just a beast against the run. Justin Houston actually knew how to set an edge, right? We don't know what to expect with Pay when it comes to setting an edge. We don't know how good some of these other guys like Ben Banagoo or someone like that is going to be at setting an edge on the opposite side. That's if the defensive tackle / defensive end that the Colts have, second round pick. How do I forget his name? My goodness. I got so many names in my brain.
Loyalist.
Thank you. I got so many names that stuck in my head that sometimes a name just seems to be right there, just out of reach at times. But yeah, I mean, there's rumors Tyquan Lewis might be the starter, right, on one end. So we'll see. I expect it the way he blew up last year. This year, I think the Colts can still be a top 5 run defense. I don't expect them to be number 2. Number 2 is a hard ask, okay? Especially when you lose 3 key pieces in the front 7. But I still expect them to be, somewhere between 3 and 5. I expect them to be top 5. And that's going to still be a huge boost, all right, for the Colts. What are your thoughts on the run defense for the 2021 season?
I'm a lot in the similar thought that you are. like since we've had Eberflus, the Colts have not had anything worse than a top 10 run defense since day one. And we both know that when he came here, I mean, he was going through the switching from the 3-4 to the 4-3. And we still managed to maintain a top 10 defense that year. Okay? Top 10 run defense. Sorry.
Run defense.
And then, what else was I going to say? I forget what else I was going to say. But yeah, like I said, with our run defense, I don't see us dropping off a great deal. Like you said, number 2, but we don't need it to be number 2. If we can stay in the top 5, that's going to get us to where we need to be. And the thing is for this year, I mean, you look at what the Houston Texans are doing. The Houston Texans are really doubling down in the running back area, and I think that's because of their question at quarterback. So they're going to be a much more run-heavier team. Then you've got the Titans, who are always going to be, Derrick Henry eccentric. You know what I mean? And then we don't know what we're going to get from Jacksonville. Jacksonville is really the big mystery to us this year.
Yeah, don't forget that the Texans, the expectation is the Texans will not have Deshaun Watson, and they'll probably be a run-heavy team. They just signed their 4th running back, right? They have 4 they just picked up Rex Burkhead, that was a Patriot. And then earlier in the offseason, they picked up Mark Ingram, which was a Raven, Phillip Lindsay, right, which was a Bronco, and they still have David Johnson, right? If Watson is not the quarterback and it's Tyrod Taylor, expect the Texans to be a run-heavy team with some very experienced running backs back there. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to run all over us. I just expect them to run the ball a lot more than what it was when they had, Deshaun Watson, which is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's flip it. Blam. Let's go to the offense. Rushing attack. Last year, the Colts were the 11th ranked rushing attack in the NFL. And that was after Marlon Mack went down week 1 with the Achilles tear. Marlon Mack's back. We have our entire running back stable back, right? The entire running back stable. Plus, maybe Carson Wentz helps a little bit in the run game as well. I mean, you didn't expect Phillip Rivers to take off and run for extra yardage. I'll guarantee that, You generally, when we had a rushing, a mobile quarterback, like let's say Luck or even Jacoby Brissett, you expected somewhere between 200 and 300 yards rushing just from the quarterback, trying to break out and extend a play or something. Where do you expect the rushing attack, ranking-wise, to be next year offensively?
Well, I would say that as far as the rushing goes, depending on the coaching, okay, depending on how, what the flow and where Coach Wright decides, hey, but I would say that we're easily going to be a top 10. I really do. I mean, do I think we could achieve top 5? If Carson goes out and starts having some struggles or whatever, and we start having to push the run more, yes, but I don't see that happening. I see that with Carson coming in, we get Fisher back, week 4 to 6 or whatever. I honestly see that the balance is going to be the only thing that's going to hold our rushing attack from being a top 5 or a top 4.
That's interesting that you say that, because last year, I mean, you couldn't ask for more balance than what the Colts was last year. They were 11th in rushing, 11th in passing. And like I said, Phillip Rivers, good quarterback, very accurate, knew how to read a defense. And they utilized that in the passing game. I do believe that the Colts rushing attack will step up a little bit this year. I don't expect them to be a top 5 rushing attack. That's a hard ask. Hard ask for anything to be top 5 in the NFL in anything, right? But the Colts do have one of, if not the best offensive lines in football. They do have a top 3 running back stable in the NFL. Not top 3 running back in the NFL. I mean, you may look at the yardage that Jonathan Taylor had last year. But still, you got to remember some of these running backs out there were hurt, right? Last year in the NFL. Some of the bigger names. What's Christian McCaffrey's one of them, right? The one in the Giants, he was hurt last year. There's a lot of great running backs. Plus Derrick Henry, in our own division we have to deal with. We mentioned that earlier. I expect the Colts run defense or running offense to improve slightly only because a healthy stable, right? I believe a healthy stable is important. You'll be able to keep high-end running backs out there with Marlon Mack, Jonathan Taylor, Naheem Hines, and then occasionally sprinkle in Wilkins, 2 or 3 runs a game, just in case to keep people healthy. I expect it to be maybe 8th is where I'm expecting the rushing attack to be ranked next year. And that's, as you say, if Carson plays well, I expect him to be 8th. Now, if we start having to lean on the run, then yeah, you'll probably start seeing the Colts lean heavily towards the run, which is going to adjust the rankings. And, they could end up being a top 5, but our passing attack will take a huge hit in that aspect. And as a Colt fan and as a guy who's watched film, I honestly believe in Carson Wentz this season. I think that he's going to succeed, and because of that, we're going to be more balanced like we was last year, and I expect the Colts to be around 8th overall. Culture Shock says 6th. Barkley. Thank you about the Saquon Barkley. Yeah. He says that Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and Dalvin Cook were all banged up last. And yet Dalvin Cook, man, he was blowing the whole year up, for the Vikings. So, there's a lot of good running backs out there. So that's how that works out. Company Eagles, I think if the Colts carry a lot of leads into the fourth quarter, they could be knocking top 10. That's a good point. If the Colts defense does their job and the offense is able to get 10 points or more in by the fourth quarter, you could see the Colts leaning on the run game to just run out the clock, late in games a lot. So that is a very, very good point by Company Eagles. Appreciate you mentioning that. I got 20 viewers in there. Please don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you can be notified next time I go live or upload a video. You're not going to want to miss what I got coming out Wednesday and Thursday. I promise you. Very serious. Can't tell you what it is, like I said, but yeah, got something nice coming out. That moves us on to passing attack, man. Loyalist. Passing attack, Carson Wentz, all these wide receivers. We got tight ends. We got running backs who could catch the ball out of the backfield. We have a new offensive coordinator. But still, the head coach that's out there, calling the plays. So what are your thoughts where the Colts will rank next year in the passing attack? They were 11th last year, tied, with the rushing attack.
Yeah. Now, for me, for the passing defense, to me, that was more of a players base. Who's going to step up? Who's going to perform? Okay. Now, with the passing offense, for me personally, I think it's more of a, what are the coaches going to choose to do? Are we going to open it up more? Are we going to run more multiple backs? So like I said, for me, the passing is more of a coach controlled, play calling control. But I still think that Reich just loves to see that pigskin fly through the air. He wants to keep them off their feet with the rushing. But I do think that we could still be, I think, 12 to 9, top 9 to 12 in passing offense. But now, if that happens, that makes your rushing offense, I think, drop closer down to where, we might be able to be a top 10 again. both in rushing and passing with the balance.
Okay. I want to welcome Drake's 801. He says top 5 pass, top 5 rush, top 10 defense. That's a hard ask, my guy. I can't go there. I can't go there. I believe they'll be top 10 defense and top 10 offense, but that is a hard ask. Me personally, I'm just going to say this, and it's going to suck. I believe in our top 4 wide receivers. All right, I've seen the film, but here's the issue: every year we have someone get hurt for the season. Every year as a wide receiver, so I take that group, and I'm hoping it's not Paris Campbell, but of that group between Pascal, Campbell, Pittman, Ty, I expect at least one of them not to be around the entire season. Okay. On that note, with the fact that we're going to be most likely not using the tight ends for blocking near as much, with the fact that Carson Wentz is immobile and be able to extend plays a little bit more, and with the fact that I'm hoping Paris plays at least more than one game this year, I expect the passing attack to actually improve this upcoming season. Better than 11. Remember what I said earlier about balance? I could see 8 and 8, right? I could see 8 in rushing
That's
attack,
exactly.
8 in passing attack. That's what I'm seeing. A slight bump up for both the rush and the attack, which would actually put the Colts overall almost top 5. I have them being 8 rushing, 8 passing, and then total offense to be right at 6, right on that top 5 bump, but not quite hitting it, right? That's if, like I said, Frank Reich likes to keep it balanced. He wants to keep teams guessing. He wants to run the ball, but he wants to pass the ball. He is known for using short, quick passes as rushing attacks, right? That's what he'll use. A little quick bam, throw that quick wide receiver screen or something out there, or a running back screen. And it's the same thing as using a rushing attack, only you're throwing the football. That's just to keep that up and going. I expect the screens and RPOs and stuff to come in huge this season, along with play action. As long as Wentz plays like I've seen him play 2018, 2019, right? That's all I'm looking for, and that's what I expect. I expect him to be good, not great, right? I expect him to still, because he's playing good, not great, to be in the comeback player of the year conversation next year. Just because so many people are out there saying that he's not going to be that good. And then it's going to open up some eyes when it's like, oh crap, he was on a bad team last year, and that's why he was so bad. I don't expect Wentz to get sacked 50 times in 12 games with the Indianapolis Colts. Who the heck expects that to happen, right? No, maybe 25 times. That's about what I'm seeing. Andrew Luck was always known as a guy who took a lot of sacks, right? And then with Frank Reich, his time to pass went up, his completion percentage went up, and his sacks went way down. I think Andrew Luck was sacked like 19 times or something like that. Rivers, one of the guys that can't, move at all, was one of the least sacked players or quarterbacks in the NFL last year. Same situation. I expect Carson Wentz to extend a play from time to time, but I also, for the majority of the time, to play exactly the way Frank Reich wants his quarterbacks to play, and that's that quick, high percentage passing, which will help. It will help, and I honestly believe 8 and 8, and then 6 overall. Points a game. Last year, the Colts, I believe, were 8th in the NFL in points per game scored. A lot of people don't realize that. Actually, I'm going to make specific sure of that, but I am fairly certain that's where they were sitting. Maybe I know they were top 10 1, 2, 3. Oh, defensively, they were top 10 in that too. Ninth. They were ninth in the NFL in defensive scoring. Like allowing score. Offensively, points per game. Ninth again? Yeah. So they were top 10 on both. That's pretty even, right? Last year they scored an average of 28.2 points a game. The number one team in the NFL was only 31.8, right? So that's only like 3 points a game more than what the Indianapolis Colts had last year. Do you expect the point total that where they were from last year to go up as opposed to what they were last year, or do you expect them to regress a little?
I think that our offense is going to be more efficient. I think Ty is going to get more of the deeper, more open patterns because he's so smart. Once you get Carson outside the pocket, Ty is just so good at getting open and communicating that to his quarterback. I think that will be better there. But I also think that our defense is going to keep our opponents from scoring as many points. So we're going to be more willing to run and more willing to grind that clock out because Rack doesn't care about having the most points in the year. He cares about having the most points on that day on the scoreboard. So if our defense is pitching a shutout or a 7-point game, our offense may not be scoring a lot of points, but they're going to have that time. But they're going to have that time of possession. They're going to be grinding it out and putting the other team in a position where they're going to have to start panicking and doing things out of their characteristic to try to get back into the game against us. So, like I said, I do think that our offense is going to be more efficient, but I do think that we're going to be close, maybe even a short, bump either way, but not a whole lot of difference from last year.
I do expect, like I said, Frank Reich to call plays very similar to like what he was doing in 2018, 2019 with Andrew Luck. All right, I do honestly expect that. The only issue is we've discussed this on an earlier earlier vid, where we have a lot of guys that's come, coaching wise from the CFL, right? And they are a very college-oriented style offensive league when it comes to RPOs and things of that nature. So there could be more of that thrown in there as well with Wentz. And we all know Wentz is comfortable playing that style of football. So we could see more of that. And that could give an advantage a little bit, especially because we've seen a lot of that kind of style of play when we're near the end zone. We had bad red zone percentages last year when it came to goal line stuff, right? Inside the 5-yard line where we would get stuffed first, second, third, and then he'd go for it on fourth down a few times and would get stopped. And he was trying to play a lot of those RPO plays that would get stopped behind the line of scrimmage, whereas Carson Wentz and these other coaches understand these plays a little bit more, play them a little bit more often, probably expect those plays to be executed better. He always talked about, I believed in the play I called, it just wasn't executed properly. And with the coaches that they have now and the players, I think that could be something that you actually will see a lot more of, and it could come to fruition. I expect him to stay probably. I kind of agree with Culture Shock that we'll probably stay around 8th. They might bump up to 7th or 6th depending upon their red zone percentages again this year, because like I said, when you get stopped a lot, or you go for it when you got questionable calls. Should you have kicked a field goal instead of going for it on fourth down? Should you have went for it instead of going for a field goal? Hindsight's always 20/20. But yeah, I don't expect it to make much of a bump in that. Ant Rogers, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you being down in there. He says the MPG Michael Pittman needs some deep touches. I still remember the Utah game. He had almost 250 yards. Blackman against Blackman, but he was getting mossed by Michael Pittman Jr. So I think we're going to see a lot more deep throws this year, not just the MPJ, but I think that, just a simple fact, Ty loves the deep ball. Paris Campbell is a 6-foot speed receiver, which people just don't realize how big of a deal that is. As crisp of a route runner as when he's healthy, I honestly believe that Paris Campbell's the best receiver the Colts have on the roster when he's healthy. We just need him to stay healthy and get some touches. And I think he is a guy that I don't know, man. A 6-foot guy who can run a 4.3 40 is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And he's got good hands. We just need him to stay healthy. So I'm hoping for the best. There was a little bit of question about the tight ends this year. Like I said, I do think that the tight ends will be used a little bit more. We all know that Carson Wentz likes his tight ends, and the tight ends probably won't be used as blockers nearly as much. So I do believe that Ollie Cox and Doyle and even our rookie will get some targets this year in the tight end game. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of 3 tight end packages. You can see, I'm waiting for a day when we see a 3 tight end, 2 running back, no wide receiver package. And it's like 1st and 10. That would confuse teams to all get out, would it not? And the thing is because the running backs, we have running backs that could catch out of the backfield, and all 3 of our tight ends are decent at receiving. It would just provide mismatch if the opposing team came out. I don't care what they put out there to defend against. Do they go heavy to match the big formation? Or do they just go out there and play normal defense? And either way, I think the Colts would have a serious advantage going out and lining up. And I'm not saying do it all the time. Just let's catch a team by surprise occasionally, right? Let's see here.
That'd be awesome to see if you did something like that. That'd be awesome to see with Paris and Pittman both on the outside. So, they're both on the outside, and then you throw Mo Alley Cox just running right down the middle.
There's a lot of different things that the right can do. I think he's got the personnel to run spread 5, I honestly do. I think we got the receivers. We got 4 of them that are, at least number 2 receivers. We have 4 receivers that would be a number 2 receiver on any other team in the NFL, in my opinion. At least a number 2, if not number 1. And then we got a bunch of youth behind them. Guys that are trying to prove themselves, which is going to be huge in training camp and preseason, which will be fun. Ant Rogers says that he thinks Jonathan Taylor, 6th overall rushing, and MPJ Paris Campbell late. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what that means. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Granson, Nomadic Brian. Yeah, I was talking about Granson, Mo Alley Cox, Jack DeWill. Yeah. All right. Again, it's been about 45 minutes. You got what we came out here to talk about. You want to see more Hines, Ant Rogers says, out of the Wildcat with Mac or JT. Like I said, 3 running back formations. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I definitely want to see two running back formations a lot more. We didn't see that at all. Oh, okay. You were talking about fantasy football. Got me. You got me. See, I don't know a whole lot about fantasy football and drafting when it comes to that. So I've never really played fantasy football. Matter of fact, I've never played fantasy football. I know teams. I know the NFL, but fantasy's its own little monster. So, I think that was a good conversation to discuss where we figure our way too early predictions are going to be. Loyalist, if you guys don't know Loyalist, he's a guy who's going to be with me quite a bit. We're kind of trying to get a little bit of, little cohesion going here. So he's possibly going to end up being the long-term co-host with me. Loyalist, if you don't know him, please go down there in the description. There's a link to his Twitter. Make sure you give him a follow, please. And if you're not following me on Twitter or Instagram, what are you waiting on? Links are down there as well. Go hit them up. All right. Tell these guys a little bit about yourself. How long you've been a Colts fan? Maybe a quick story about you, whatnot.
Okay. I've been a Colts fan since they showed up here in Indy. Before then, I was just a fan of football and was one of those, like a leaf blowing through the air. If this team was doing good, I was their fan, But when the Colts came in, they gave me somebody to root for. Back in '84, I didn't understand a lot of, the ins and outs, and I definitely didn't understand what it meant to be. I understood football. I didn't understand the organizational, the coaching, none of that. But I would say Polian, Manning, they gave us a good, long education on what it is that, we should be looking for and hoping to achieve. And now I just think that education, now we're at our doctorate degree. Now Reich and Ballard are just teaching us more and more about the player and how to get all these things to work together. I've got a wife and 2 kids. And if you guys want to see us, we're probably going to be down there at training camp almost every day. If not my wife, at least I am.
Yeah, I'll be in training camp if it's opened up. I know that they're holding it over at the complex, or not complex, but over at Grand Sports Park this year, and hopefully it's open to fans. I'm still in the process of getting my media pass for those, so hopefully that comes through properly. But thanks, William Watton, for being here as well. And again, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Loyalist. As usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.